Hey guys, big stat here. 76% of asbestos surveying companies say they couldn't be competitive in today's market without good software. So with this being such a critical decision in your business, what should you consider when weighing up different software on the market? When choosing asbestos reporting software, you're going to have to be conscious of the device types that it will run on. Android has a market share of 71% and iOS has a market share of 28%. So between the two of them, that's a whopping 99% of the market. So chances are the device in your pocket will be one of these two operating systems. So if the surveying software you're looking at doesn't support both iOS and Android, it's probably a bit of an antique. So some software will only work on specific device types, for example, Android or iOS. Chances are you're going to want something that works on both. Let me explain why. Okay, look, I know you might be an Apple fanboy, but the next person you hire might not be. They might be an Android fan, just like me. So it's important to consider device type support from whichever software vendor you choose, unless, of course, you want to be on your own forever. On your lonesome, consider that. Ease of installation is a very important consideration when choosing asbestos reporting software. As a surveyor, you're busy, you just want to be able to fire forget, install the software and get on with your work. However, some software vendors force you to use a specific device to carry out your survey. This is to prevent license sharing. But if you lose or damage your device, what then? Well, expect some business interruption as you have to get back in touch with your software vendor to get them to reconfigure the software to work with the new device you bought. You don't need that hassle in your life. So here are some things to look out for when choosing a software vendor when it comes to ease of installation. Number one, you're forced to use a specific phone or tablet to carry out your surveys. Number two, the software has to be installed by a specialist member of their team. Number three, there are costs to get you set up onto a new device. It's a huge hassle to have to stop your work to sort this issue out and to deal with new hardware. Look for asbestos surveying apps that you can download from either the Play Store if you're an Android user or the Apple Store if you're an iOS user onto any device, whether it be a phone or a tablet. Have you considered how you'd be drawing floor plans during your asbestos survey? This is a really important consideration when choosing software. Some software has inbuilt floor plan design tools which let you draw floor plans when you're on site using the app that you're also using for data collection. That's great and everything, but it might be a feature you don't actually need. A better fit for you could be what I'm about to show you now. Now, a good process for you could be to draw a floor plan like this on site and then draw it up in the office using floor plan software. If you're going to be adding floor plans from a third-party floor plan software, then the only real feature you're going to need in your asbestos reporting software is the ability to upload and embed plans within the final report. And that's one of the things we offer with our software. Making sure that the asbestos survey software you choose is easy to use is extremely important. After all, you're going to be using this software every day. So what are the factors that contribute towards ease of use? Let's take a look. The first factor that influences ease of use is navigation. The bad, lots of nested navigation screens. You feel like you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the software. Small, really hard to see text. The good, simple navigation. Intuitive user interfaces. You can do most things in a single screen. Is there nothing this screen can't do? The second factor in terms of ease of use is software shortcuts. The bad, limited or no shortcuts available. Data needs to be entered from scratch every time. Data needs to be entered from scratch every time. Data needs to be entered from scratch every time? Deja vu. The good, speedy shortcuts for data entry, the ability to copy items, preset options, quick fills for forms, and previous values are remembered. The last thing to consider is flexibility. The bad, restrictive select dropdowns. You can only use specific options set by your software provider. Unchangeable generic text. Data that gets locked after you input it. The good, flexible input types. Text inputs rather than select dropdowns. Your data is not locked after you add it. So the main thing I want you to take away here is you'll know easy to use software when you use it. So it's best to get your hands on it, see how it feels to use day to day. If there's hardly any learning curve, that's generally a good sign. You should just be able to pick the software up and learn as you go. If you have to have extended training sessions or any big fat instruction manuals that you got to read, or it takes months to learn, it's probably not that easy to use. Even your grandma should be able to use it. That's the litmus test. One more thing to bear in mind is when it comes to ease of use, look out for also good documentation and a decent knowledge base. Warning, warning, warning. Sometimes surveying software suppliers supplement their software with sneaky surcharges. Some software suppliers can charge thousands of pounds just to get you set up. Panta. Ridiculous video. Several £1,000. Give me coin. I need that cheddar. Loot. Plans. Bankroll. A load of moolah. Where's my money? When choosing software, always ask what upfront software costs they have before you commit to going further. Imagine waving your arms around like a lunatic, trying to get a phone signal before you can go home. What are you? A wacky, waving, arm flailing, inflatable tube man? No, you're a surveyor. That's the reality with some surveying apps where the offline mode isn't 100% reliable. You end up waving your arm around next to the car, trying to get a signal to make sure the data's synced up to prevent a costly revisit. You don't want to be back to site to have to collect the data again, so you have to make sure that it has properly synced up. I just want to go home. Some surveying apps like Flow Mobile Surveying work offline by default. That means you're never going to have to worry about data sync. You can just finish the job, head off, knowing that the data will sync up automatically as soon as you get an internet connection. Good job, software. Chances are the way you write reports isn't the same as everyone else. You'll want to add things like custom introductions, branding and design, caveats and exclusions, and so on. So it's important that the software you choose allows for customizations of reports. Most software providers will allow you to customize reports. However, how much you can customize them will depend upon the internal template editing tools that they use. Some software providers will have Microsoft Word-based editors. This means that you're creating reports in their system based on a Microsoft Word template that you provide. This is quick and fairly flexible. However, you are restricted by what Microsoft Word can do itself. So you'll be restricted to their styles, for example. Other software providers like Flow Mobile Surveying use code-based report editors. This is extremely flexible in the sense that you can get pretty much whatever you want. However, the bar is higher and it usually requires specialist knowledge to create templates, which is why we do this as a managed service, and other providers probably do the same too. The main thing is to make sure that whichever software provider you choose can replicate your existing report style to your satisfaction. Many software providers will customize your reports free of charge before you commit to going ahead, so make sure you ask them if they can do this. If you're working with large clients, for example, housing associations or councils, or even just private companies with a large estate, then a client portal is probably going to be a required feature for you. Client portals allow your clients to see all of their estate in one big map view, and they can see where the asbestos risks have been identified along with the risk levels for each site. By being able to see all of their risks in one place, this can be extremely beneficial. Your clients will be able to prioritize remediation works, for example, removing asbestos from their sites based on perhaps the most high-risk areas. It also means that any contractors who go to site to do works, for example, knocking down walls, can check the client portal to see any risks for the building they're working in. There's also a potential financial upside to this as well. If you have a software provider who provides your client portal for, say, £200 a month, there's no reason why you can't sell it on again to your clients at a higher price and actually make some money from that transaction, because you're going to be managing the client portal on their behalf, remember, so it can just be another service that you offer. And also a client portal is a good way to keep your clients stuck with you as well. They're going to be less likely to move to another surveying provider if their data is with you and on the portal that you provide to them. Here are some features that a good client portal is likely to have. First of all, it's probably going to have a map view, so your client can see all of their sites on one big map. Secondly, it will probably have an audit feature, so they can see who has viewed each site. For example, a contractor, you want to be able to see if they've viewed a site before they've gone on site to do some work. Also, it's likely to have a data feed in from the surveying software, so the reports go in automatically. They don't have to be added manually. It should also show all of the potential risks in one glance, so they can see all the high, medium, and low risk areas. Don't you love it when things are joined up? I know I do. In any business, you're going to need more than one bit of software. You'll need some software to manage your quotations and invoices, perhaps. You'll need software to manage your customer relations, called CRM software. And of course, you'll need your reporting software, which is the decision you're trying to make while watching this video, hopefully. But how do you join all these things together? This is a really important thing to think about. If you can't integrate, you may end up double keying data a lot, which can be quite frustrating. But how do you get the software products to talk to each other? Many asbestos reporting software apps will integrate with third-party software, but it may be chargeable work to get you set up and configured for the first time. So make sure you ask these questions right at the onset. So to summarize, if you're looking to choose asbestos survey software, there are plenty of products on the market. There's no one size fits all. It's going to depend on the size of business you are and where you are in your business journey and the type of clients you have as well. If you're a large company working with big enterprise-sized clients, there's going to be some important considerations. For example, does the software have a client portal? Does it integrate with software you need, for example? Whereas for most companies, the considerations are mostly going to be down to, is the software easy to use? Will it work on your particular hardware, or your iOS or Android phone or tablet? And is the software flexible? The software should try and get as close as possible to your reports, not the other way around. So always bear that in mind if you've got a custom report template. There are also some soft factors I haven't really mentioned. For example, do you actually like working with this company? Get on the phone to them, have a conversation and see what they're like, and see if you can trial the product out before you buy. One more thing to consider is make sure when you're choosing asbestos survey software, it has good documentation and a knowledge base that you can look at if you ever get stuck. Lastly, there's going to be considerations around price. So if you're just starting up, you won't want to fork out thousands of pounds just to get set up. You'll want to get stuck straight in and make sure you get some value before you start paying for the software. I'm Paul King. I'll just itch my nose. I'm Paul King. Just itch my nose again. I'm Paul King. I'm just going to do one final nose itch. I'm Paul King. I'm one of the co-founders of Flow Mobile Surveying. I hope this guide has been useful, and I hope it helps you make the right choice in finding good surveying software. By the way, check out Flow Mobile Surveying because it's mint.